Hello, ladies. Thank you for joining me today. Today, I'd like you to find 2 blocks, if you have them, something like as heavy as a book would work. And I have a towel. I just have a beach towel. A yoga blanket would work fine. And just folded so that you have some support underneath of your sits bones. And your sits bones are those 2 bony points that you sit right on the edge of that blanket, and you can find yourself sitting up a little bit taller. So it just kind of elevates the sits bones a little bit higher so that we can get tall in our seated position. And we'll just start here. And maybe just closing your eyes. And just checking in with your breath. And just noticing how your breath feels in your body. Sometimes I like to take one hand to my chest, one hand to my belly, and just check in there to just notice how the breath feels and these actions of the breath in and out. How our breath is rocking our baby. Maybe noticing any tension that you have, maybe in head, neck, shoulders, face. I always have a little in my eyebrows. Some of us, it's our tongue. Some of us, it's our hands. So just checking in, noticing, no judgment here, just notice. Then we'll slowly start to shift our hands back to the tops of our thighs. Let's take both hands over towards our left knee and then slowly start to look over left shoulder. It's for a little twist, and this is just a little twist, so don't feel like you need to take this right hand and really press into it. This is our first twist of the day, so just keep it simple. Keep this twist nice and easy. We'll slowly start to inch our way back forward, nice and slow. Both hands over here, right knee. Find your heart shining over towards your right knee. Right hand comes behind you for support. Tented fingers helps me just to be a little bit taller here. That way you can kind of bend into the knuckles a little bit, or even if knuckles is best for you. And again, fight that urge to twist into it. Just allow the twist to happen. And just support yourself so that you can give your body enough space to allow the twist. We'll slowly start to inch our way forward. Head and neck comes around last. And we'll take our blocks. I'm going to take the soles of my feet and bring them together in front of me. And I'm going to have my blocks on either side of me, but I'm probably not going to use them, but I'll use them the first time with you just in case. So we find ourselves sitting up really tall, and we'll slowly lift up, reach left fingertips up towards the ceiling, reach over towards the right side. We'll slowly let ourselves shift back down, and we'll continue shifting over towards our right side. We'll start to go back and forth with breath. So just inhale, reach over. If knees lift up a little bit to accompany you, that's okay. We'll exhale, we'll reach over towards that opposite side. And just continue. So back and forth, your pace, your breath, your movements. So this time we'll go over and we'll stay here over on our right side. And we'll just lengthen here. I'm going to shift my block out of the way and just kind of find length where I can along the side of the body. So from the hip points to the bottom set of ribs, we'll slowly make our way up. Use hands for support. We'll slowly shift over towards that opposite side. Find your length here. And slowly start to make your way up. Then it will just slowly find a little forward fold here. So I like to kind of trace my hands down my legs, and it just kind of reminds me to keep my heart and chest open as I hinge in the hips and lead with the chest hinge forward. And this inhale, slowly start to shift up nice and slow. Bring the knees in, shift the ankles to one side, doesn't matter which direction you go. And we'll take our blanket with us. Let's come to hands and knees. And so I'm going to take my blanket and have my blanket over towards the left side and bring my hands up towards the top part of my mat. So I won't need a block here. So shifting here to my table, step the right foot out so that the toes and knees are pointed in the same direction, and more than likely they'll be off of your mat. Take a second and bring something underneath of your knee for a little added support, and that could just be folding your yoga mat up underneath of there. And then from here, we'll use hands for support, and we'll slowly start to sink into the right knee. And we'll just kind of go back and forth just a little bit. So back and forth with movement here with breath. So whenever we sink forward, we can find our exhale. And when we find length, we can find our inhale. So I'm going to come up to fingertips a little bit more here. Maybe even knuckles if that feels good. And kind of add a full movement here. So we slowly shift in. And then we slowly straighten into the front leg. And you can kind of round a little bit more here. There is the option too, if you need a little bit more height, to take your block and bring it here just to find a little bit more space. Sometimes this just allows you to make space for baby. And we just kind of go back and forth. So you can really get into it. So allow yourself to, if that feels good, and even maybe take your block up to another height if that feels better, especially for this rounding whenever you come up. And just go back and forth here. I'm going to adjust my heel in just a little bit and just continue. And this time, when you shift forward, really just allow yourself to pause if there's something that feels good, or even whenever you shift back, allow yourself to shift back. And sometimes the straightening of the leg is too much. So if you like just being here with going back and forth, this is perfect too. You decide how you want to go into your pose. You know what's right for you. And we'll just do one more here. And then we'll switch out the feet. So I'm going to shift my blanket a little bit so that I have my blanket ready for me. And I'll have my block handy as well. Step the left foot when you're ready. And remember, it's toes and knees pointed in the same direction. And that's where we start here, as we just kind of start to go back and forth. So find that position that feels right for you. And if you feel like it's a little tighter on this side, that's okay. That's perfect. We can just kind of work with that. And again, any height. So if you want to shift your block here, you kind of want to round and relax, straightening into the front leg. You can even kind of walk the foot a little bit further forward if that feels right for you. Kind of really create space here so that you have space for baby. And you can really rock in and back. And you can go so with breath, so we can exhale and sink in. And just continuing your pace, your breath, what feels good for you. Let's pause if you want to kind of pause in one position for a moment. And that could be for a second, it can be for 3 seconds, whatever you'd like. It can be not at all. Maybe pauses aren't right today, and that's okay. And we'll do this one that we're working on, and we'll finish this one up. Then we'll step the left knee in, and we'll find a little puppy. So hopefully you have your blanket with support under both of your knees. And if not, take a second, go ahead, get it there. And then we want to find our knees and hips in the same plane here. And then walk your hands forward until you can get your forehead down to your mat. Elbows can be bent here. And just checking in here with your breath. And my forehead, it's almost up to the hairline. So it's the very top of my forehead that's resting here. So that way it keeps the back nice and straight. And if you feel good here, we just did some hip openers, so you're welcome to kind of shift the hips gently from side to side if that feels good for you. Slowly start to shift your way back up, nice and slow, from your table here. Check in here, so wrists and shoulders nice and lined up. When you're ready, curl right toes under, lengthen right leg back. So nice and strong and sturdy here. I'm going to walk my wrist underneath me just a little bit better here so that I feel like I have good support, and stretch out of that back leg. And if you feel good here, you'd like to lift the back heel up. That's perfect here. And if you'd like to add a little bit more, maybe extending left fingertips. But if that's too much today, this is a lot of work. So feel free to just stay right here. If you're determined to extend left fingertips out, just notice the extension from those fingertips all the way to the heel extended. We'll slowly return hand down and then return knee down. Check in here. See how you feel. And then when you're ready, left heel shifts back. So we curl the back toes under, we lengthen back. Get a good stretch here. Really press into the heel. And then if you feel good, you're ready to do some more, you can lift the heel up. So don't be afraid to use this right knee to right foot to kind of help you balance here. And if you'd like to extend right fingertips out. Belly's strong here, so we kind of hug baby in while we do this. Nice and strong. And gaze just down at your hand or just the spot right underneath of you. Slowly we'll return hand down and we'll return our knee as well. From here we'll find a child's pose or a puppy. So we check in, shift your hands back forward, forehead rests down. Maybe again some little shifting, swaying movements that feel good. And we'll slowly start to shift our elbows in. We'll slowly make our way all the way back to our table. Let's do a little cat-cow movements before we kind of wrap up for this little session here. We'll slowly open our hearts, open forward. So it's like we have a light in the center of our chest. We'll shine it forward. On the exhale, lower hips down towards heels. In this inhale, we shift back forward. We shine the light in the center of our chest forward. On the exhale, we lower hips down towards heels. So hips don't need to touch all the way to the heels here. It's just shifting that direction. We inhale, we shift forward. Exhale, we shift back. So just continuing your pace and your breath, your movements here. So this back and forth. So this time, whenever you shift all the way back to the heels, really get long all the way to the fingertips. Let head and neck relax. And we'll just continue forward. Inhale, shifting forward. This time on the exhale, we'll let ourselves shift all the way down. If you'd like to widen the knees, really let the forehead settle down into our child's pose. And some of you might be saying, hey, Mandy, my hips don't go that far down. If so, then keep your knees about the hip width apart and just let the forehead settle down wherever you are. So this is perfect. If this is your child's pose here, this is perfect. And sometimes coming all the way down is just too much for us, because when we come down all the way down, we may not feel like we can take in enough breath. So make space for baby, no matter which variation you choose. So you can even go to that puppy variation that we did earlier. And we'll slowly start to inch our way back up. So back up to your table. Then we'll come back down to just a simple seated position again. So find your blanket if you'd like. Have a seat back on the sits bones on the edge of your blanket. And just pause here a moment. And just checking in. And just noticing how you feel from when you first got on your mat today. And maybe bring your hands to your belly. And check in here too. So thanking your body for the work that it does in creating this beautiful baby. But not forgetting to thank yourself for taking this time out for you and for baby. And sometimes just getting here is the hardest part. The practice is easy, but it's making that time. And thank yourself for making this time in your day. So send your baby some love and acceptance. We will accept you just as you are, whenever you're ready. And thank you very much for joining me today. I always enjoy it. Thank you.